Listening to Bailey Hong Zhuang, Di Bei Chun felt relieved. What he was most worried about was Bailey Hong Zhuang's response to this matter. Fortunately, Bailey Hong Zhuang was not displeased. He really should be looking for a time to solve this problem. He had always been a direct person. He was never one to drag his feet, and he was not willing to delay Han Xiling. "Oh, Dage, I have something to say to you." After Han Xiling saw Di Bei Chun with Bailey Hong Zhuang, talking with him so intimately, a trace of chill appeared on her elegant face. She didn't know who this woman was, but as long as she dared to steal her big brother, she would not forgive her. Di Bei Chun looked at Han Xiling, who had appeared suddenly before him. He pondered for a moment and nodded. "Okay." Elegantly getting up, Di Bei Chun said to Bailey Hong Zhuang, "Wifey, I'll be back in a moment. You go." Bailey Hong Zhuang gave a light smile. Han Xiling saw the complex and unfathomable look of Bailey Hong Zhuang and then led Di Bei Chun some distance away. Upon seeing this, Xia Zhiqing went to Bailey Hong Zhuang's side. There was a bit of anxiety on her face. "Hong Zhuang, can you rest assured nothing will happen between the two?" "Nothing will happen." With a smile, she replied, looking calm and unruffled. "This Han Xiling likes Di Bei Chun. She is your great rival." "Ah, how can you be so calm? Di Bei Chun is your husband. You must not allow others to snatch." Although Han 11 Ling camouflages very successfully, she cannot escape my eyes. She is definitely a white lotus," Xia Zhiqing said determinedly. She had been very confident of her own eyes. Taking advantage of Xia Zhiqing's uneven expression, the smile on Bailey Hong Zhuang's face gradually deepened, and there was a hint of a warmth in her heart. "Zhiqing, thank you. I'm your good friend. Naturally, I'm on your side," said Xia Zhiqing. "But can you really be so clam? I think this Han Xiling is an enemy." Bailey Hong Zhuang smiled and shook her head. "If he were to be snatched so easily, what qualification does he have to be my Bailey Hong Zhuang's man?" She had always been indiscriminate. If Di Bei Chun was really taken away, then she would only thank Han Xiling. The man that she, Bailey Hong Zhuang, was with must only have her in his eyes. This is what she wants. Han Xiling was proud, but Bailey Hong Zhuang's arrogance was not any less than hers. Listening to Bailey Hong Zhuang, Xia Zhiqing could not help but give her a thumbs up. "You're right about that. I support you." She really didn't think that Bailey Hong Zhuang's heart was so strong, but thinking about it, what she said was true. With how amazing Bailey Hong Zhuang was, she would not be able to find a man. "But I still believe Di Bei Chun is sincere to you." Xia Zhiqing grinned. "He said that you were his lady right in Han Xiling's face. It is clear that he is innocent." In my opinion, Di Bei Chun may have already broken her heart now. Hearing this, Bailey Hong Zhuang smiled, but she looked in the distance. This Han Xiling was not a good person. In the woods, Han Xiling and Di Bei Chun stood opposite each other. "Dage, you only re-established your position in the sect, and then left immediately. This is very unfavorable to your status." Han Xiling slowly uttered her thoughts, and there was no lack of concern in her words. "It's fine, as long as I'm no longer a crippled person who can't even stand up. They can't do anything to me again." Di Bei Chun looked carefree. In 3 years, he had enough thoughts to clear up many things. Things that were important to him then were no longer important. But, without hearing Han Xiling speak, Di Bei Chun had already interrupted her. "I don't have more to say. I've already decided." "So, have you really decided to be with that girl?" "She is nothing more than a commoner. There is an inseparable gap between you and her, the daughter of an ordinary general. There is no match at all." At the moment, Han Xiling no longer concealed her inner thoughts. She could not believe that Di Bei Chun would like such an ordinary girl. "What matches? What is not matches?" Di Bei Chun asked. "In my heart, she is the best." No one could understand the status of Bailey Hong Zhuang in his mind. For more than 10 years, he had never felt his heart beat for any other woman, but he had been impressed the very first moment he saw Bailey Hong Zhuang. Such a woman, with her tenacity, hard work, and decisiveness, had clearly left an impression on him. He had never had any sentiments for her before, but then she was even willing to cure him. So far, he felt that the only thing Xianyuan Yutian did correctly as for him and Bailey Hong Zhuang to marry. In fact, even if Xianyuan Yutian had not given them a marriage, he would still try his best to make Bailey Hong Zhuang his wife. Because he had her in his heart. Once Bailey Hong Zhuang was there in his heart, no one could replace her position. She was the best in his heart. Seeing Di Bei Chun so determined, Han 11 Ling's face became even uglier. When the sovereign returns, even he will not agree with you. Di Bei Chun shook his head. I believe that Master will support my decisions. Just when Di Bei Chun was ready to leave, Han Ling suddenly spoke up. Well, I do. Di Bei Chun's stature stiffened as he slowly turned around. Dage, you know my feelings for you. Can I compare to Bailey Hong Zhuang in your heart? Han Ling asked. Since she was a child, she had always loved Di Bei Chun as a family. For many years, although Di Bei Chun had never said anything to her, Di Bei Chun had also never been with any other women. Therefore, she believed that as long as she was beside Di Bei Chun would love her. Now that Di Bei Chun had only left for 3 years, all this had changed. Is it that her companionship of more than 10 years with Di Bei Chun was not as good as Bailey Hong Zhuang? Ling, I have always thought of you as my sister. You know it. Di Bei Chun's words were low and serious. The person I love is Bailey Hong Zhuang. This is a completely different feeling. As soon as those words came out, Han Ling's face became pale and she felt injured. She could hardly believe that Di Bei Chun would say such words to her in such a decisive manner. I don't want to delay you. Ling, you will always be my sister. As for your feelings, I can't reciprocate them. Di Bei Chun said earnestly. He did not want to be vague about this matter, otherwise he would be unfair to Bailey Hong Zhuang and unfair to Han Ling. He only wanted to be with Bailey Hong Zhuang and protest her. He did not want to see her unhappy at all. Dage, I have liked you for so many years, but now you reject me so simply. Is it that you no longer care for me? Han Ling looked wounded. Her 2 eyes were faintly covered with the crystalline sheen of tears. It is not that I don't care for you. I will not return to the sect during this time. It will be good for you. Di Bei Chun had no changes in his attitude despite Han Ling's tears. He understood that being afraid to hurt her would be being cruel to himself. Only an unyielding attitude would completely break down Han Ling's thoughts. After Han Ling recovered, they may be able to go back to being brother and sister. As his voice fell, Di Bei Chun no longer said anything, but he turned and walked away. For Han Ling, he apologized, but he could not do more. Any words of comfort would be like knives instead. Han Ling looked at Di Bei Chun's departing back, and her heart felt like it would burst with pain. However, both her eyes could not help but be filled with resentment. For so many years, she had always been the arrogant woman in the eyes of all people. How many young masters liked her? She dismissed them. The only one she liked was Di Bei Chun. Now, a woman who had suddenly appeared had destroyed her years of feelings. How could she give up? She would not. She will never lose. How could she be defeated by a woman who was nothing? Han Ling's eyes gradually strengthened. She believed her big brother had only been briefly blinded by Bailey Hong Zhuang. Soon, he would wake up, and then she and Di Bei Chun would naturally be a couple. When everyone saw Di Bei Chun come back first, their eyes hanged a bit. Wise men had already guessed the conversation between Han Ling and Di Bei Chun. I didn't think that Han Ling, who has always been so arrogant, would be defeated by an ordinary girl. I'm really happy. Lin Yi-ro smiled slightly. She had always been slighted and dismissed by Han Ling. Now, she was delighted to see this scene. Lin Yi-ro, you are gloating like this. It seems it's not so good. Yan Lingxian frowned. Don't you like Han Ling? Lin Yi-ro smiled. Now, you must be the happiest person in this situation. Hearing this, Yan Lingxian's face changed a bit. In fact, this situation really did make him happy. Han Ling has a temper. It is not in line with her style to give up. Huang Fu Hui's eyes shined with wisdom. Bailey Hong Zhuang will be in trouble. Ji Yun'er's eyes were filled with viciousness as she seethed. This woman, Bailey Hongzhuang, is really damned. Even if Han Xiling does nothing, I will not let her go. As the young miss of Ji family and one of their prided children, when had she ever eaten a loss? In any case, she would not bear this. Lin Ro looked at Ji Yuner with a faint smile. Di Beichen has claimed Bailey Hongzhuang as her wife. If you want to offend Di Beichen because of Bailey Hongzhuang, think carefully. Saying this, Lin Ro's eyes could not help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang's body. Although she did not really know Bailey Hongzhuang, she really admired her. As an ordinary girl, she had stood against both Han Xiling and Ji Yuner. This courage was not one possessed by ordinary people. It was really interesting. If she had the opportunity, knowing her better was also a good choice. Only after Han Xiling returned did everyone close their mouths and keep silent. Di Beichen sat down beside Bailey Hongzhuang, his handsome, bright face full of an evil smile. Aren't you curious what we talked about? Bailey Hongzhuang's brows and beautiful face was relaxed. Laughing enchantingly, she asked instead, "Do you want to tell me?" Not even asking her, Xiao He and Xiao Bai could not help but join in on the fun. The two beasts were curious cats. Di Beichen smiled brilliantly. His wifey was very different from ordinary women. He caught Bailey Hongzhuang's hand, his voice gentle. "I have made it clear to Xiling, and perhaps Xiling will take some time. Wifey just needs to believe in me." Bailey Hongzhuang gazed at Di Beichen. This guy's straightforwardness made her very satisfied. What she hated the most were men that are ambiguous and don't speak up in such matters. Di Beichen could be so resolute, she was really happy. As for Han Xiling's response, Xiao He and Xiao Bai also told her that the contradiction between her and Han Xiling had only just begun. As a man, Di Beichen was not aware of how fierce fight between women is, especially when there are no smokes in the war. However, she was not afraid. After this incident, everyone turned their heads to rest and adjusted their breath. The ancient monument would be completely revealed tomorrow. They must adjust their strength to it best in order to face the challenges in the monument in their prime condition. There are many treasures in ancient monuments, but there are also many dangers. One small mistake, and their lives would inadvertently be lost. Not only that, but so many cultivators around was already a huge threat. In the event of someone robbing a treasure, it would be a bloody struggle. There was also considerable risk that many things had changed in the past 1,000 years, and her understanding of ancient monuments was not as good as before. As night fell, with so many cultivators gathered there, it was quiet, and only the beast that came out of the monument stunned the people into an uproar. "Baisher, do you know what guardian beast that is?" Xiao He asked. "This guy is too noisy." Baisher nodded. "This should be the Qing Tian Mo alligator. With its inherited memory, it had a deeper understanding of demonic beasts. From the voice, he could determine the identity of the Qing Tian Mo alligator." Hearing the name of the Qing Tian Mo alligator, Bailey Hongzhuang's face changed a bit. The Qing Tian Mo alligator is comparable to a human cultivator at the Huang Yellow border. Adding in the fact that this Qing Tian Mo alligator has guarded the ancient monument for so many years, its strength must be stronger than ordinary Qing Tian Mo alligator. I didn't expect this to happen. A beast like this alligator is a hassle. Xiao He's face was dignified, and he had no choice but to mention it. "Baisher, can you stop the Qing Tian Mo alligator?" Xiao He asked. No matter how you say it, Baisher was the beast king. Baisher looked a bit depressed. "My strength is still weak. I will be able to shock the Qing Tian Mo alligator for some time with my aura, but later he will be able to resist." Hearing this, Bailey Hongzhuang's face became serious. It had not been long since Baisher had been born. With just a few months, his strength was naturally not too strong, but to think that its aura could shake the Qing Tian Mo alligator was beyond her expectations. Chapter 487. Considering the risks, don't worry. There are so many people here, we can't do that. 1. The corners of Bailey Hongzhuang's lips were slightly raised. There are so many cannon fodders around. If not used, wouldn't it be a waste? The members of the 4 cultivation families must be more than desperate to enter the ancient monument. Once the Qing Tian Mo alligator came out, they would certainly take the lead. After all, they absolutely would not put them in their eyes, as merely lucky students who happened to pass through the miasma forest. Although the Tsanglan College was widely known, and they were special enrollment students of the college, but at most they were only considered to have potential, and in long term would not be that useful. Master is right. Let these guys use their strength and clear up our way. Otherwise, are we being at a disadvantage? Xiaohei's eyes were twinkling. They had to make use of these people. That was an extremely important point. It's for the tall people to worry when the sky falls. We just need to enjoy our achievements. Xiaobai said proudly. They must retain their strength to the end. Baisher stared at the crowd of black-bellied people in front of him and had to admit that their idea was really good. Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo gathered Bailey Hongzhuang and other people together. The two teachers' face was full of dignified expression. If it is as we expected, the monument will open tomorrow. This is an opportunity with risk. You may have an opportunity for growth, or you could suffer a loss. No one can judge the outcome. Lu Huayan's voice was slightly heavy. You must be very careful. Even with my strength, there is no guarantee that I would not suffer. The only hope is that the trials will not be too cruel. Listening to these words, the other people's face also became dark and worried. This was the first time they were seeing an ancient monument, and everything they knew was from what they had heard about it. Even from news they had heard before, they knew that there would be many cultivators gathered before an ancient monument appeared. 2. The only good news this time was that because of the toxic miasma, they would not have as many competitors. In addition to the trials and traps laid out in the monument, other forces must also not be ignored. It is inevitable that you will have to fight for treasures. Fu Hongbo sighed. Trying to fight for the treasures in the monument with their current strength, it was too difficult. The four families and the practitioners of Tiangang Zone were not simple, especially since the conflict between Ji Yuner and Bailey Hongzhuang was so fierce. Once the two people met inside the monument, Bailey Hongzhuang's situation would be bad. Being confronted in this way was fate, and no one would be willing to give up. Even if hope was very uncertain, very few people have such an unparalleled will. 3. You have to think carefully. If you don't have the confidence, don't go into the monument. Fu Hongbo's eyes were full of seriousness. I have already informed the college about this, and you will certainly be able to go back safely. You must know that you are talented young people. As long as you practice hard, you will be able to succeed in the future. Fu Hongbo and Lu Huayan's feeling were very complicated at the moment. On one hand, it would be a pity if someone gave up this opportunity. On the other hand, as teachers, they were also reluctant to see their students suffer injuries. As for the final decision, that could only be made by the students themselves. After the two teachers said this, everyone became silent. The risks involved were indeed worthy of their careful consideration. One BHC is saying that Baisher can't use her powers because other people are present. 2. It should be from news about previous appearances of ancient monuments. They knew, instead of the current line. However, that is what I think it should be, and not what the Ross say. 3. These two lines are in reference to BHC. Although it is not stated explicitly, they mean to say that even if there was a slim chance of victory with BHC's character, she would still fight. Chapter 488. Lu Qinyu's decision. Lu Qinyu was the most hesitant. A long time ago, her master had told her that her talent in cultivation was not as good as that in alchemy. It was not that her cultivation talent was bad, but that she lacked the courage of cultivators. Although she had never stopped cultivating, because of this, she still devoted the most energy to practice alchemy. She had originally told Master to not be too concerned about her. Since the past 2 times Yihuqing appeared, she had understood more what her master meant. Her strength was higher than Bailey Hongzhuang's, but she still needed her help to save herself. This alone had already proved the problem. For the ancient monument, she was naturally full of interest, but when she thought of the dangers inside, she lost her confidence. Under such circumstances, would she still want to go? After Gong, Xiaoqing, and Dong Fangyu pondered for a moment. Their stance on this became more firm. This kind of opportunity was rare. Once missed, it wasn't necessary that they will have it again in this lifetime. If they gave up now because they were not strong enough, they would surely regret it in the future. Cui Hao Yin, Zhang Yin Feng, Bai Junyu, and Xiaji Qing also made their decision after struggling for a moment. They must absolutely not regret their choices. Bailey Hongzhuang had never changed her stance from beginning to end. Giving up on something just because it was dangerous, that was not her style. Di Bei-chun was also the same. When he sees an opportunity, he was happy to pounce on it. How could he give up just because of some danger? After everyone made their decision, Lu Qinyu suddenly said, "I've decided to go back to the college." Hearing Lu Qinyu's words, everyone stopped for a moment, but soon they understood her decision. An alchemist was an extremely rare talent. Once she became an alchemist, she was doomed to become rich and wealthy. What's more, Lu Qinyu's talent in alchemy was outstanding, and she was recognized as a genius alchemist. She simply does not need to take this risk. Lu Huaiyin nodded slightly. Well, I've already informed the college. They will release a signal flare when they arrive outside the miasma forest. When you see the signal flare, then go. That will be safer. There were still a large number of cultivators outside the miasma forest. After the arrival of the four families, the outsiders would be even more eager to enter. If Lu Qinyu went out hastily, she would surely be apprehended by everyone. Only by someone from the college waiting outside will be able to guarantee her safety. Hearing this, Lu Qinyu nodded her head and said, I understand. You're safe right now? Stay here. Fu Hongbo felt a bit relieved. Lu Huaiyan's eyes fell on the crowd. Since you have already decided to go in, you must be careful tomorrow. We cannot predict what kind of traps will be in there. Everyone can only react spontaneously and help themselves. We understand, everyone responded. Inside the monument, even if their teachers were present, they cannot guarantee their safety. The only one they could rely on was themselves. As cultivators, they're always exposed to countless risks. From the day they walked down this road, they had been ready. The people once again started cultivating, but the mood was significantly heavier. Gong Dage, you must be careful tomorrow. I won't accompany you this time. Chapter 489 Di Bei-chen's fear. There was a slight hesitation and fear on that gentle and charming face, as Lu Qinyu gazed at Gong Shaoqing. Gong Shaoqing nodded. You are right, there's a lot of risks here. No one knows what the final result will be. Gong Dage, with our strength it is too risky. Lu Qinyu's beautiful face was slightly wrinkled. The Ji family has many strong cultivators. Regardless of the risk of the monument, it will be the added risk of meeting the Ji family. If they see that you have got a treasure, they will surely forcibly rob you. It's too dangerous. It's better. Without waiting for Lu Qinyu to finish her sentence, Gong Shaoqing had already interrupted her. You don't have to say more. Such a good chance. I will not give up. Lu Qinyu would like to continue talking about this, but after seeing Gong Shaoqing's firmness, the words she had not yet said were swallowed back. Then, Gong Dage, I'll be waiting for you at the college. Lu Qinyu said gently, voice full of tenderness and love. She had been stubbornly studying at the Tsanglan College instead of studying directly at the Alchemist Guild like Wei Mei Dai, and a large part of the reason was Gong Shaoqing. Only at the Tsanglan College could she always be with Gong Shaoqing. She was afraid that she would never see Gong Shaoqing after she returned to the college. She was completely unable to afford it. I will go back first, Gong Shaoqing said slowly. Lady, the ancient monument will open tomorrow. Are you afraid? Di Bei-chen asked with a smile. Bailey Hongzhuang turned her head to see Di Bei-chen's bright smile like the stars over the horizon, shining and dazzling her. Her petal-like red lips lifted slightly as Bailey Hongzhuang smiled. I don't really feel afraid. Instead, I have only excitement in my heart. Fear was always a useless emotion. Since she had already decided to do it, fear has no meaning. Instead of wasting time on fear, it was better to think calmly about what to do next. Seeing Bailey Hongzhuang's indifferent look, Di Bei-chen's eyes were full of appreciation as he smiled warmly. My wifey is very different from ordinary women. Bailey Hongzhuang raised her elegant brows. You aren't? So to say, we are a match made in heaven? Di Bei-chen blinked deliberately as he questioned. Bailey Hong Zhuang looked at Di Bei-chen to see his smile. This guy was really shameless. I think that if you are able to hide your power, you will be able to win more things tomorrow. Tomorrow you need to be careful. We're going in together, you know? Di Bei-chen stared at Bailey Hong Zhuang as he put away his previously joking manner, his eyes full of seriousness. Seeing the undisguised fear and tension in Di Bei-chen's eyes, Bailey Hong Zhuang's heart thumped as she nodded. Good. Di Bei-chen smiled. Although his wife was not afraid or fearful, he was afraid that she would get injured. Right now, for him, what kind of treasure was in that monument was secondary, and the safety of Bailey Hong Zhuang was the most important. Not far away, Han Xiling stared at this scene, a hint of abnormal emotion flashing in her eyes. Unknowingly, Ji Yun'er had come to stand beside Han Xiling. Her face had a slight smile as she asked tentatively, Han Xiling, do you like Bailey Hong Zhuang? Chapter 490 Eating Loss. Ji Yun'er. Han Xiling looked coldly at Ji Yun'er beside her. A hint of cold indifference appeared in her eyes. If I think she is pleasing to the eye or not, how is that related to you? Feeling Han Xiling's indifference, Ji Yun'er also did not care as she sat down beside her. I'm just asking you. This Bailey Hong Zhuang is not strong enough to be the member of a cultivation family, and is an ordinary commoner. Di Bei-chen even gave you up for such a woman. I really don't know what he is thinking. What do you think? Ji Yun'er grinned. In fact, this was her own idea. Listening to Ji Yun'er's words, Han Xiling was still quiet, as if what she had just said had nothing to do with her. Do you really want to let Bailey Hong Zhuang be with Di Bei-chen? When Ji Yun'er got no response, she asked this. Han Xiling's mouth curved in a ridiculing smile as she coldly said, I don't need you to be worried about me. I'm sorry, I don't have the habit of yielding and being used by other people. Ji Yun'er's face changed slightly. Wasn't it that all women would lose their senses if they faced such things? Why was it that Han Xiling was so calm after all this? Han Xiling, you misunderstood me. I don't have such an idea. The smile on Ji Yun'er's lips widened a bit. Han Xiling's identity is not low. If she offended her, there would be no benefits. Just watching Bailey Hong Zhuang makes me very upset. If you are interested, we can properly deal with her in the monument. Han Xiling chuckled. You see her in getting a bad mood is your business. I do not have interest in it. If you have nothing else to say, I want to cultivate. Seeing Han Xiling's attitude so cold and determined, Ji Yun'er's face was a bit ugly. She did not understand why Han Xiling's reaction was completely different from her imagination. Is it that Han Xiling does not like Di Bei-chen? Impossible! The idea was dispelled by Ji Yun'er as soon as it emerged. By her intuition as a woman, Han Xiling's feelings for Di Bei-chen were not ordinary. Otherwise, it would be impossible for Han Xiling with her arrogance to have been behind him so many years. Since she couldn't understand why Han Xiling's attitude was like this, Ji Yun'er could only return back to her place angrily, and she did not conceal the anger on her face. Han Xiling was not an easy person to bully, but now she had been looked down on by both Bailey Hong Zhuang and Han Xiling. This made her really mad. Lin Ro, Yin Ling Xian, and Huang Fu Hui looked at Ji Yun'er's frustrated look, and their eyes were filled with gloating laughter. Ji Yun'er's temper was not good, so there were not many people who could really be friends with her. They and Ji Yun'er just acted cordially towards each other as children of various powers. They weren't even true friends. Ji Yun'er's expression is really interesting, Yin Ling Xian said with a chuckle. On a normal day, she is so arrogant that I fear my arrogance is not worth mentioning. She thought that Han 11 Ling would be like her. However, Han Xiling is not like average people. Huang Fu Hui said as he laughed. Lin Ro smiled at Huang Fu Hui, her eyes full of wisdom. Ji Yun'er sees things as too simple. In my opinion, even if Han Xiling hates Bailey Hong Zhuang, she will never admit it with that arrogant temper of hers. Not to mention, if Han Xiling wanted to deal with someone, she would need someone's help. In Yin Ling Xian's eyes, a touch of emotion appeared, and after careful consideration, He felt that Linny Rowe was extremely reasonable and could not help but admire her. Linny Rowe, I did not think you see through things so clearly, ah. Lin E. Rowe's soft lips slightly curved, not because of Yin Lingxian's words, but because she did not feel the slightest sense of accomplishment. I don't look through things clearly. I am only a bit more perceptive than others, and am clear about those around me. Yin Lingxian looked at Lin E. Rowe softly. At this moment, he discovered that Lin E. Rowe was also a smart young woman. In the past, Lin E. Rowe always had a quiet temperament, not talking often. Plus, with Ji Yuner, who was always active and attracted everyone's attention, he did not pay close attention to Lin E. Rowe until he heard Lin E. Rowe's remarks and discovered her intelligence. Sure enough, none of the outstanding disciples of the big families would be simple figures. Time flew by, and a night passed, and most of the ancient monument had now been revealed from the ground. The guardian beast's roar was also fiercer. Bailey Hong Zhuang took in the sight in front of her eyes. The ancient monument was comparable to an entire imperial palace. The white building in the shadow of the sun and the whiteness of the atmosphere gave off an unspeakable sacred feeling. From this tall and majestic building, a sense of grandeur emanated, leaving people in awe. Outside the monument, the faint light, like a layer of water, reflected colorfully under the sun's rays. It was beautiful. However, none of the cultivators present there were in a mood to pay attention to this beauty. What they were interested in was if the ban had been lifted. This monument has been buried in the ground for so many years, and the ban is still so strong. The strength of this monument's owner is evident. Lu Huayan's face was full of admiration. Practitioners who could build ancient monuments were the strong ones who had made a name for themselves. Facing such a strong person, they couldn't help but admire. He was already very lucky to have seen this monument, but if he could become such a strong person in the future, how happy he would be. With the passage of time, the energy of the ban is gradually dissipating. By evening, the ban will completely disappear. Fu Hongbo's eyes were full of wisdom. From yesterday to today, the energy of the ban was dissipating. Inside, he felt a little heavy. Once the ban disappears, the guardian beast will come out, and the guardian beast's attacks will be very powerful. You must be more careful. Fu Hongbo nodded, his eyes falling on Bailey Hong Zhuang and the others. When the ban dissipates, we will retreat. The guardian beast is of a high rank. You are not its opponents. If you are too close, you can accidentally get hurt. I don't know what the guardian beast is. It has actually been alive for so many years. It will surely be powerful. It should be a Qing Tian Mo alligator, Di Bei Chen said slowly. Hearing Di Bei Chen's words, everyone's faces changed. The Qing Tian Mo alligator. It was an extremely fierce demonic beast. Lu Huayan and Fu Hongbo did not doubt Di Bei Chen's words. With Di Bei Chen's background, it was natural his knowledge was vast. Since Di Bei Chen was so sure, it should be true. Her clear and refined face showed her surprise. Bailey Hong Zhuang had not expected Di Bei Chen to be able to judge which guardian beast. It was just from listening to the guardian beast's howls. If Baishir had not told her, even she would not know that the guardian beast inside was a Qing Tian Mo alligator. It seems that Di Bei Chen's knowledge of demonic beasts was really deep. This Qing Tian Mo alligator has been locked in the monument for so many years, and it has absorbed a lot of the toxic miasma. I'm afraid its strength can't be compared with a normal demonic beast. Di Bei Chen's eyes were full of a wisdom. His master had often traveled with him, so he has a lot of knowledge. Many demonic beasts were ordinary, but in certain special circumstances, they would evolve and become different. And these demonic beasts were more powerful, and others should always be careful in front of them. This Qing Tian Mo alligator has been trapped for so many years. The food in the monument must be over already. It will be very hungry. Once it comes out, it will be very manic, and its strength will be very scary. Bailey Hong Zhuang said slowly. She knew quite a lot about ancient monuments. Once the monument was buried, nobody knew when it would be revealed. Therefore, the guardian beasts of many monuments would be starved to death. But if the guardian beast survives, their strength would become very scary, especially the moment the guardian beast was released from the ruins. It would be manic and treat everyone as its food. Listening to Bailey Hong Zhuang's insights, others nodded. I seem that they really should be farther away from this guardian beast. We should retreat to some distance away. Sometimes, these guardian beasts will come out when the ban has not completely lifted. Just in case, we should go back now. Bailey Hong Zhuang continued after feeling a wave of fluctuations from the monument. The others were a bit surprised. According to their understanding, the guardian beast should not be able to come out before the ban had completely dissipated. We have to be careful. We should retreat some distance. Xia Zhiqing agreed. The others also didn't have any objections. After seeing Bailey Hong Zheng walk towards the back, Ji Yun'er's ridicule-filled voice rang out. You really have no strength. The guardian beast has not even come out yet, and you are already afraid and hiding. You are so bold. If you have the ability, come to stand here and don't stay back. Ji Yun'er's eyes were full of pride. A person born a plebeian will stay such. Before a ban has dissipated, it is impossible for a guardian beast to come out. However, just as Ji Yun'er's voice fell, the eyes of Xia Zhiqing and the others went very wide as they looked in front of them with horror. You idiot, take a good look at what's behind you. Bailey Hong Zhuang sneered. She no longer felt like paying mind to this idiot Ji Yun, and she quickly retreated a few hundred meters away along with Di Beichun. Ji Yun'er listened to Bailey Hong Zhuang's words, her mouth arcing up disdainfully. You want to cheat me with this silly trick? Do you think I was born yesterday? Miss, get back fast. At this point, the cultivators beside Ji Yun'er quickly shouted. Ji Yun'er's face changed as she looked behind in surprise. She only saw a giant blue-eyed devil alligator running out of the ancient ruin. Ji Yun'er screamed, her entire person scared silly by the sudden appearance of the Qingtun Mo alligator. Chapter 493, A Shameless Idiot. The Qingtian Mo alligator opened its bloody mouth and suddenly headed towards Ji Yun'er. When the cultivators of the Ji family saw this, they quickly retreated with Ji Yun'er towards the back. The Qingtian Mo alligator apparently had not expected that the food about to enter its mouth would suddenly fly off, and his heart burst with dissatisfaction. With an angry flick of his tail, he had destroyed the trees next to him. The sudden appearance of the Qingtian Mo alligator surpassed everyone's expectations. If not for everyone's eyes were locked onto the ancient monument, it is feared that many cultivators would have already died the moment the Qingtian Mo alligator appeared. After Ji Yun'er escaped, she was pale and stood in the distance, breathing heavily, her face full of horror. If it wasn't for the cultivators of her family who had pulled her away, she feared that she would have already become food for the Qingtian Mo alligator. How could a Qingtian Mo alligator appear so suddenly? Not to mention that a guardian beast cannot come out before the ban is lifted? Yanling Xian was shocked. If he hadn't responded quickly enough, he didn't know what kind of consequences he would be facing. At the moment, Huang Fu Hui could no longer keep his aloof appearance. There are few traces of guardian beasts in a monument. So many people do not understand the situation well. Then, everyone's eyes could not help but fall on Bailey Hong Zhuang's body. All of they had not known that the Qingtian Mo alligator would suddenly appear. But Bailey Hong Zhuang, who had elegantly retorted, knew and had retreated along with the people of her college. Could there really be such a coincidence in the world? Or was it possible that Bailey Hong Zhuang expected that the Qingtian Mo alligator would appear earlier than expected, and thus reminded the students of the Tsanglan College to stay away? The hearts of the people were full of a complex feeling. However, after careful consideration, everyone thought that this was impossible for Bailey Hong Zhuang to say such things out of luck. It was very likely that Bailey Hong Zhuang had already expected this. At the thought of this, everyone's faces became even more puzzled. They only thought that Bailey Hong Zhuang was not an ordinary person. But with this move of Bailey Hong Zhuang, they were even more sure that Bailey Hong Zhuang was not an ordinary person. Hey, aren't you very powerful? How can your expression be so scared at this moment? Bailey Hong Zhuang lifted her chin slightly, the corners of her mouth lifting in an enchanting laugh as she mocked Ji Yuner mercilessly. She had always been a person who gifted upon others what they gave to her. Since Ji Yuner had taken the initiative to find trouble with her, she also didn't mind laughing at Ji Yuner. Ji Yuner's face was very pale. At the moment, after listening to Bailey Hong Zhuang's words, her hatred for her became even more intense. Nonetheless, she was now not even qualified to ridicule Bailey Hong Zhuang now. You just had some good luck, so what? Ji Yuner pondered for a moment and could only say this as a retort. Bailey Hong Zhuang said lightly, "What do you think about how you look right now? You look so pale and scared, not at all gutsy." Xia Zhiqing and the others had a smile on their faces. Ji Yuner's previous words were skillfully countered with this, and they snorted in laughter. Instead of her mocking Bailey Hong Zhuang, Ji Yuner had been turned into a joke. Han Xiling slyly glimpsed at Ji Yuner, her eyes full of disgust. Idiot. Fortunately, she didn't say anything to this idiot, or even she would have lost face along with this idiot. Chapter 49, Attacking the Qing Tian Mo Alligator. When the Qing Tian Mo alligator appeared, its bloodthirsty eyes were locked onto the people, and its bloody mouth was open to reveal blood and watery drool. In the ancient monument, it had been hungry for a long time. It had not expected to see so much food as soon as it came out. It was worth it. Bailey Hong Zhuang and the others looked at the Qing Tian Mo alligator in front of them. Seeing the Qing Tian Mo alligator's entirely blue body, black lines appeared on her forehead. Its eyes were black and ball-sized, exuding a ruthlessness as it stared at them. Dense scales covered its entire body, making it more menacing. The Qing Tian Mo alligator was a kind of hard-to-find demonic beast. Its scales were hard, and ordinary weapons would not be able to penetrate it at all. Not only that, the Qing Tian Mo alligator was also extremely powerful, and its giant tail was a great weapon. One sweep of the tail would be able to knock down many heavy objects. Once hit by its tail, a cultivator is most likely to vomit and die. At this moment, the Qing Tian Mo alligator was grunting and watching the crowd as it fantasized about food, thinking which one it should eat first. I didn't expect that the guardian beast in the monument would turn out to be a Qing Tian Mo alligator. It will be difficult to deal with it. Yin Lingxian frowned. It seems that the owner of this monument was even more powerful than we imagined. The strength of the Qing Tian Mo alligator is already at the Huang, yellow, border. In my opinion, it will be impossible to defeat the Qing Tian Mo alligator with the power of a single family. It won't be as effective as everyone attacking and killing the Qing Tian Mo alligator together. How about it? One of Ji family's cultivators said. Hearing those words, the powerful exponents in the crowd nodded. Good. Everyone will join hands to kill this Qing Tian Mo alligator. In the face of such a powerful demonic beast, the younger generation was simply not its opponents. Only by relying on them will this trouble be solved. Lu Huayin and the Fu Hongbo looked at each other, then nodded together before immediately rushing towards the Qing Tian Mo alligator. You stay in place, don't come. Their voice sounded in the ears of Bailey Hong Zhuang and the other people. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo had already disappeared from in front of them. Since the 4 cultivation families and the cultivators of Tiangang Zone had already contributed, if they continued to stay in place while doing nothing, it would not be right. Since they came here, they will try to find the treasures within the monument. If they did not contrite at this moment, once the Qing Tian Mo alligator has died, the 4 cultivation families and the cultivators of Tiangang Zone may not even let them enter the monument. At that time, they would be helpless. Seeing the actions of the 2 teachers, the eyes of Gog, Shaoqing, and the others gradually changes. It was not easy for the 2 teachers. HHHGH. The Qing Tian Mo alligator snarled as it saw so many cultivators rushing towards it, a flash of excitement flashing in its eyes. It felt very hungry, and these morsels or food had arrived automatically. Shing. The sound of iron and other metal types of long swords slashing onto the Qing Tian Mo alligator's body came. However, the fierce attack that fell on its body did not even pierce the scales of the Qing Tian Mo alligator. Only a shallow white mark was left on the scales. Damn it! This Qing Tian Mo alligator's defense is too strong. The face of the master from G family was a bit ugly. Although he had known that the Qing Tian Mo alligator would not be easy to deal with, he had not thought that the defense of the Qing Tian Mo alligator would have metamorphosed so abnormally. Chapter 495, Only Slightly Worse, Qing Tian Mo Alligator. After the first cultivator tried, the attacks of other masters fell onto the body of Qing Tian Mo Alligator. The same attack still could not break the defense of the Qing Tian Mo Alligator, and the huge tail of the alligator kept sweeping them away. The crowd could only escape constantly while looking for opportunities to attack. Faced with the attacks of the crowd, the Qing Tian Mo alligator was still very calm. These kinds of forceful attacks fell on him, but felt like tickles. We will attack the same place. We have to find a breakthrough and opportunity. Lu Huayan's yuan Li condensed as he shouted. Listening to Lu Huayan's words, the exponents of the four families and Tian Gang Zong only nodded. This was the only way they could proceed now. The only weakness of the Qing Tian Mo alligator was its abdomen, but attacking there was near impossible because of the alligator's short legs. Together with its constantly biting head and sweeping tail, they had no way to attack the Qing Tian Mo alligator. The alligator's abdomen was even more out of reach. As a result, Lu Huayan's approach became the only solution. Ding! Oh! After deciding on the attack method, everyone concentrated their attacks on the same area. The original hard scales were inevitably shattered under everyone's attacks, and blood flowed from the back of the Qing Tian Mo alligator. Suddenly, the tingling sensation turned to pain, stimulating the Qing Tian Mo alligator as its snarls became more fierce, and its attacks also became fiercer. Thunk! Every time the Qing Tian Mo alligator took a step, a terrible noise was heard from the ground. It was like an earthquake, making the people feel shocked. With the fierce attacks of the Qing Tian Mo alligator, many cultivators were injured. Boom! A cultivator of the G family was swept away by the giant tail of the Qing Tian Mo alligator and flew backward. The huge force made his viscera feel on fire as his entire body was shocked by the impact. Ah! Another scream rang out. A cultivator had been bitten by the Qing Tian Mo alligator. RGH! The Qing Tian Mo alligator grunted as it chewed twice before swallowing the practitioner directly. A rich yellow light shone around the body of the Qing Tian Mo alligator. With the increasing number of wounds on the Qing Tian Mo alligator, the number of wounded cultivators was also increasing. I did not expect this demonic beast to be this scary. Bai Junyu's face did not conceal his shock. He had always known that demonic beasts at the Huang, Yellow, border were very scary, but he had never seen it with his own eyes. He had not felt how strong they could be. The strength of these cultivators was already very strong in his opinion, but in front of the Qing Tian Mo alligator, they were weak. This was the terrifying power of the congenital realm. Nothing will happen to the two teachers, right? Lu Qinyu's face was full of fear. In this group of people, the strength of the two teachers was not very strong. They could get hurt. Blood dripped down Lu Huayan's mouth. He had already suffered a heavy blow. Under such circumstances, a single careless move would cost him his life. I believe that with the strength of the two teachers, they will not be in danger. Xia Zhiqing murmured, both eyes staring intently at the situation, her heart full of worries. Dong Fengyu and Gong Shaoqing's face was dignified. This Qing Tian Mo alligator has been injured by the attack of so many people. I believe that it will not be able to persist for a long time. Only a fatal wound can kill the Qing Tian Mo alligator, Bailey Hong Zhuang said slowly. Chapter 496, Are They Crazy? When Bailey Hong Zhuang's words sounded, Di Bei Chun and she looked at each other. They understood each other's thoughts. In the next moment, before everyone's eyes, Bailey Hong Zhuang and Di Bei-chun had rushed directly towards where the Qing Tian Mo alligator was. What are they going to do? Xia Ji-qing could not help but exclaim. The Qing Tian Mo alligator was a demonic beast at the Huang. Yellow, border with Bailey Hongzhuang's strength, fighting with the Qing Tian Mo alligator was tantamount to looking for death. As soon as this remark came out, some other people's eyes also condensed on the body of the two people. Everyone felt somewhat bizarre. The masters of the various forces had not killed the Qing Tian Mo alligator. What could Bailey Hongzhuang and Di Bei-chun, these two people, do? This Bailey Hongzhuang is too overconfident, really finding death. Ji Yun'er's voice was full of ridicule, her eyes full of viciousness. The scene that had happened just before had made her lose face in front of all people. Regardless, she must get it back. She was the glorious young miss of the Ji family, being ridiculed so by Bailey Hongzhuang. Where would her pride go? I didn't expect that with Di Bei-chun's great strength, his sight in choosing women would be so poor. Ji Yun'er said, her words full of disdain. In front of so many people, Di Bei-chun had not given her any face. At this moment, she even hated Di Bei-chun. Di Bei-chun is acting a bit too impulsively. In such a situation, rushing forward is no different from looking for death. Huang Fuhui frowned. Even Lin Yi-ro, who had always been more intelligent than others, was somewhat puzzled. Could it be that Di Bei-chun had a way of dealing with the Qing Tian Mo alligator? Judging from the current situation, although the Qing Tian Mo alligator had been injured, it was still obviously very powerful. Once they rushed in, they would surely be attacked by the Qing Tian Mo alligator. This was a reckless decision. Maybe the two of them really are confident. Yin Lingxian said as his eyebrows rose. He looked rather uncomfortable. For excellent geniuses, like them, one less competition was not a bad thing. Han Shiling's face, that had been indifferent since beginning to end, changed a bit after seeing Di Bei-chun rush forward. Big Brother, staring at the two figures, one white and one gold, she could not help but frown. Originally, the person who could be next to Big Brother was only her. Others may not understand the strength of Di Bei-chun, but she had known her big brother for so many years, so she still understands the situation of Di Bei-chun. If he had rushed forward, Big Brother certainly had an idea of how to kill the Qing Tian Mo alligator. Di Bei-chun had not thought that Bailey Hongzhuang would rush alongside with him. However, after seeing the confident appearance of Bailey Hongzhuang, a faint smile appeared on his lips. What they both needed to do was not to fight the Qing Tian Mo alligator, but to attack. You go left, I'll take right. As they appeared in front of the Qing Tian Mo alligator, Bailey Hongzhuang shouted. Okay. Di Bei-chun also yelled. The next moment, they two people rushed forward to the two sides of the Qing Tian Mo alligator. Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo saw that Di Bei-chun and Bailey Hongzhuang had suddenly appeared under such circumstances, and their faces were filled with intense tension. You brats! What are you two doing here? Lu Huayan's voice was filled with anger and worry. In such a situation, even if they were both in danger and risk, why had these two people rushed forward? The attack power of the Qing Tian Mo alligator was so terrible that they can't protect the two of them. Bailey Hongzhuang smiled before saying, Teacher, don't worry about us. Chapter 497 is not simple. Listening to Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo were both confused. In the face of such a dangerous situation, the two did not have the time to think too much. They only knew that Di Bei-chun and Bailey Hongzhuang were not impulsive people. Since they had rushed forwards, they must already have plans. Bailey Hongzhuang used her shifting shadow technique and had already jumped onto the back of the Qing Tian Mo alligator. After the Qing Tian Mo alligator felt that someone was on it, its entire body began to shake constantly, only wanted to shake off Bailey Hongzhuang from its back. Bailey Hongzhuang had a sword in her hand. Her eyes had been set on the wounds of the Qing Tian Mo alligator. The next moment, she did not hesitate to pierce the back of the Qing Tian Mo alligator, using the sharp sword in her hand. KCHH. A clear and subtle voice sounded. and Bailey Hong Zhuang's body had deeply pierced the alligator's body. Oh! The sudden and intense pain deeply spurred the Qing Tian Mo alligator, as it suddenly snarled and madly rioted. All of a sudden, the masters next to the Qing Tian Mo alligator were all stunned and had to recede. Once the Qing Tian Mo alligator went berserk, its fighting power would be even scarier. The people looked in horror at the entanglement of Bailey Hong Zhuang and the Qing Tian Mo alligator. Regardless of how the Qing Tian Mo alligator swayed, Bailey Hong Zhuang stayed on its back. Not only that, but the blade she had used to stab the Qing Tian Mo alligator was still embedded in its body, as blood continued to spill out. Yin Lingxian and the others were surprised. After seeing Bailey Hong Zhuang, their eyes were even more incredulous. Just climbing onto the Qing Tian Mo alligator's back already required great courage. Not to mention that Bailey Hong Zhuang was currently in such a dangerous position. My God, Bailey Hong Zhuang is too strong, right? Xia Zhiqing opened her mouth wide, looking sluggish. She had never imagined that Bailey Hong Zhuang would climb onto the alligator's back. Bai Jun swallowed. If it wasn't for the scene occurring right before him, he wouldn't have believed it. The cultivators who were dealing with the Qing Tian Mo alligator were too afraid to climb onto its back. In addition to Bailey Hong Zhuang, not many can do this. Gong Shaoqing and Dong Fong, you were both silent. They had to admit that this method Bailey Hong Zhuang had come up with was really excellent. In a short period of time, the injury the Qing Tian Mo alligator suffered had become more and more serious. Ji Yun'er, who had been taunting, could not speak. In fact, such a move by Bailey Hong Zhuang really made people feel uncomfortable. This Bailey Hong Zhuang is really not simple. Huang Fu Hui chuckled. The eyes watching Bailey Hong Zhuang became bright. Han Xiling felt a hint of embarrassment, and negative emotions flashed in her eyes. She had always been conceited. She always thought that she could do this and that she was the best. She just did not want to bother wasting her time. Now seeing other people's gazes, her heart was full of unpleasant feelings. If these gazes had been directed at somebody else, she might not have cared, but since the person was Bailey Hong Zhuang, it was not the same. Oh! The Qing Tian Mo alligator swept away, and the ground cracked under the force of its huge till. The situation of Bailey Hong Zhuang was also very dangerous, but she escaped narrowly and dangerously every time. Finally, after the Qing Tian Mo alligator could no longer withstand the pain from behind, it turned over. Chapter 498 Witty Lady. The Qing Tian Mo alligator turned to its back very quickly. With almost no sign, its entire body collapsed to the ground. Obviously, it wanted to flatten the nasty guy who was on its back. Bailey Hong Zhuang's speed of response was also very fast. She jumped down as soon as the Qing Tian Mo alligator was about to turn over. However, everyone has not seen the sharp reaction of Bailey Hong Zhuang. A pale golden figure had already rushed towards the belly of the Qing Tian Mo alligator with a lightning speed. Everyone present was aware that the biggest weakness of the Qing Tian Mo alligator was its abdomen. There was no defense on the white skin. At this moment, attacking the Qing Tian Mo alligator's belly was naturally the best thing. Laugh! A fierce light from a double-edged sword flashed, and everyone merely heard the sound of flesh tearing. Then, the Qing Tian Mo alligator's body burst, as if ready to explode as it got ready for another round. The power of a Huang border cultivation broke out. After seeing this scene, Di Bei Chun and the others did not dare to delay, as they quickly retreated. They all saw the Qing Tian Mo alligator's red eyes. All the people there knew what this was. It was the berserk state. This is the berserk state of the Qing Tian Mo alligator. Everyone should retreat. It was a wonder who shouted, but the people reacted quickly, not daring to delay by even half a second. They fled. The Qing Tian Mo alligator madly chased everyone. The powerful Yuan Li attacks were desperate, and the surrounding trees fell from its force. Damn, the berserk state of this Qing Tian Mo alligator is really very horrifying. Yin Lingxian ran away while cursing. Di Bei Chen looked for Bailey Hong Zhuang, who had jumped away. just moment before the Qing Tianmo alligator flattened her. Both their attack had fatally injured the guardian beast. With the strength of Qing Tianmo alligator, its speed was extremely fast, so they only had one chance. No matter whether they were successful or not, for now, they could only leave. But obviously he succeeded. One hand pulled Bailey Hongzhuang in a rush, as Di Bei Chen greeted her with a bright smile. Wifey is really witty. Your strength is comparable to a cultivator in the congenital realm. The previous move made by Bailey Hongzhuang must have looked simple to some, but it was not very easy to succeed in it. In addition, it was extremely dangerous. However, the performance of Bailey Hongzhuang surprised him. Although she was in such a dangerous situation, there was no panic. Her beautiful face was so cool that it was unbelievable. Your timing was also very accurate. Bailey Hongzhuang's lips curved slightly, her beautiful face gazing at Di Beichun beside her. It seems that the way they cooperated was still very good. The Qing Tianmo alligator should not be able to persist for long. Let's take a rest. After running some distance away, Di Beichun sat near a tree trunk, his entire attitude relaxed and casual. Bailey Hongzhuang nodded slightly. She could feel the movement of the Qing Tianmo alligator struggling in the distance. As it became fainter and fainter, she believed that the Qing Tianmo alligator must also be exhausted. Oh, the Qing Tianmo alligator isn't moving anymore. Is it dead? Xiaji Qing's eye flashed with curiosity. Previously, she had felt the entire ground was trembling. If they had not known better, they would have thought that an earthquake had occurred then. It should be, but we will not go over at the moment. Maybe the Qing Tianmo alligator is not dead yet. Gong Shaoqing said with a sigh. Some demonic beasts will continue to grow in intellect after attaining a certain level of cultivation. They must be careful. Chapter 499 if you want. I will accompany you. Previously, I had looked down on this Bailey Hongzhuang. With her cultivation being just at the mysterious Ian, and having so much courage, it is rare. Yin Lingxian shook his head in exclamation. Before he had thought that Bailey Hongzhuang was really courageous with the way she treated Ji Yuner, but he had not expected her to be just as fearless in battle. Seeing Yin Lingxian's admiration for Bailey Hongzhuang, a touch of dissatisfaction appeared in the eyes of Ji Yuner, and her next words also had a hint of sourness. What's so great? Can everyone do that? Ji Yuner snorted. This kind of thing is not worthy of us personally fighting. As children of cultivation families, they had no need to undertake a task personally when the time came to fight. Ji Yuner, if you haven't eaten the grapes, don't say they are sour. Even if you do it, I am afraid you won't be much better than Bailey Hongzhuang. Lin Rose said softly as she looked at Ji Yuner. Such an attitude. She did not like people like Ji Yuner. In fact, if Bailey Hongzhuang had also been from a cultivation family, she believed that Bailey Hongzhuang would be among the young generation of powers. Lin Rose, what do you mean by that? Ji Yuner stepped forward, and a trace of anger appeared on her face. Since yesterday, Lin Rose had been praising Bailey Hongzhuang from time to time. It was clear that she was taking the opportunity to mock her. What do I mean? I am just telling the truth. Lin Rose felt quite indifferent. She did not care about Ji Yuner's question. Ji Yuner, you should know that with who I am, others may be afraid of you. But I don't have a reason to be. Lin Rose whispered softly, an indifferent and cold expression appearing on her gentle face. Han Qilin looked at that conflict between Ji Yuner and Lin Rose, a very strange feeling appearing in her heart. It seemed that although Lin Rose appeared soft and weak, underneath there was a strong heart. Ji Yuner obviously did not expect that Lin Rose would go against her, and her face turned ugly. I don't have the time to squabble with you. After we come out of the ancient monument, we will slowly settle this account. If you want, I will accompany you. Lin Rose softly raised her eyebrows, not putting Ji Yuner's words in her heart. Master, the Qing Tianmo alligator is dead. Baisher's voice screamed in Bailey Hongzhuang's head. Then we should go now. Bailey Hongzhuang said. Master, I want the demonic core of the Qing Tian Mo alligator. Baisher squinted his small eyes, eagerly looking at Bailey Hong Zhuang. Thinking of the Qing Tian Mo alligator, the demonic crystal of it was very good. The Qing Tian Mo alligator was a Huang-border demonic beast. The energy in its demonic core would also be very rich. It would be much higher than normal demonic crystals. It would really be very great for him. Bailey Hong Zhuang felt a bit awkward, but she had completely forgotten about her contractual beast who would gobble demonic cores in seconds. Looking at the light flashing in the starlight, yes, it was impossible to refuse. I'm going to get the demonic core. Bewitching looked at the sudden change in Bailey Hong Zhuang's expression, his handsome face filled with a trace of incomprehensibility. Wifey, what is the problem? Bailey Hong Zhuang slightly shook her head, then pointed at the little guy in her arms, saying, "This little guy wants to eat the demonic core of the Qing Tianmo alligator." Hearing this, Bewitching also reacted. The Beast King always liked to eat demonic cores. The Beast King is still young. The demonic core of the Qing Tianmo alligator will be no small help for him. We should get the demonic core of the alligator now. Bewitching said slowly, brimming with confidence. Bailey Hong Zhuang also agreed. She would not let go of anything that could help Baisher. The next moment, Bailey Hong Zhuang and Bewitching no longer hesitated as they quickly flew to the place where the alligator was. Master, the demonic core of the Qing Tianmo alligator is very valuable. I am afraid that this group of people will not let you take the demonic core so easily. Xiao Hei's eyes had a touch of worry in them. For those guys' attitude, he was knowledgeable. Even if the Qing Tianmo alligator had been killed under the joint effort of their master and Bewitching, but because the strength of their team is not strong, it would not be easy to get it back from them. Bailey Hong Zhuang's eyes were slightly dazed, a touch of sorrow flitting past like lightning, before turning fierce and decisive. Since it is something I want, I have no reason to let others take it. Her cold voice was as arrogant as ever. It is not easy to take away the thing that she, Bailey Hong Zhuang, wanted. Seeing Bailey Hong Zhuang be so domineering, Xiao Hei and Xiao Bai also felt excited. This group of people had a hand over the demonic core. If they don't give it back, they will show them their power. Soon, Bailey Hong Zhuang and Bewitching returned back to the front of the monument. The originally flat ground was now a mess, and there were more than one deep or shallow pit scattered all over the ground. It could be seen how terrible the attack power of the Qing Tianmo alligator was. At the moment, the leader of the Ji family was cutting the head of the Qing Tianmo alligator, apparently wanting to take out the demonic core of the guardian beast. Seeing this situation, Bailey Hong Zhuang walked to the front of Ji Jianbin. This demonic core is useful to me. If you don't mind, give the demonic core back to me. As soon as she said this, the faces of the cultivators around them all changed. Ji Jianbin looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang, feeling a bit hesitant. The value of the Qing Tianmo alligator's demonic core was not low, but it was not a big thing for their Ji family. Not to mention that the Qing Tianmo alligator had indeed been killed by the hands of Bewitching and Bailey Hong Zhuang. His eyes turned to look at Bewitching, and Ji Jianbin had already determined what to do. A thing like this demonic core was not too important. He did not need to offend Bewitching for it. However, just as Ji Jianbin was ready to nod and give it, Ji Yun'er's voice sounded. No, this demonic core of the Qing Tianmo alligator belongs to our family. Why should we hand it over to you? Ji Yun'er looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang. Her sharp and proud appearance was clearly provocative. Listening to these words, Bailey Hong Zhuang's smile deepened, her gaze sharp as a knife that she used to pierce Ji Yun'er. From beginning to end, you have not done anything. What makes you qualified to have any say over who the demonic crystal belongs to? Not to mention, there were so many masters involved in killing the Qing Tianmo alligator. Why do you say that this demonic core belongs to your family? Listening to these series of questions from Bailey Hong Zhuang, Ji Yun'er's face became like the bottom of a pan. At this moment, this Bailey Hong Zhuang was still so proud. I said that this demonic crystal belongs to my Ji family. Ji Yun'er did not care what Bailey Hongzhuang had to say. She had already made up her mind to act like a rogue. After seeing such an attitude from Ji Yun'er, the surrounding cultivators all showed a look of helplessness. Although Ji Yun'er was utterly shrewish, she had never been this capriciously mule-headed. They did not expect that in front of Bailey Hongzhuang, she would entirely become a troublemaker. If I say so, that demonic core is mine. Her voice was cold, underlying with threats of death and despair, a bright light shining in Bailey Hongzhuang's eyes. For Ji Yun'er this trash, she felt too lazy to even pay attention. For provoking this kind of princess was tantamount to evoking infinite trouble for oneself. No matter what, she did not want to find trouble. It was always Ji Yun'er who took the initiative. Not only had she provoked her 3-4 times, at this moment, she was still being unreasonable. In her heart, the anger she felt was inevitable. Listening to the threat in Bailey Hongzhuang's words, Ji Yun'er could not help but be furious. But after seeing the pair of eyes, bleak as ice and murderous, her heart was shocked. They pair of big, black yes emitted endless waves of murder. Bailey Hongzhuang's strength was not as good as hers, but she still felt a chill run down her spine in the face of such intense murderousness. The beautiful face full of allure was also stained by the blood of the Qing Tian Mo alligator, adding a touch of bloodlust to the perfect face. Bailey Hongzhuang's brilliance was cold, and her pair of black, sharp eyes looked straight at Ji Yun'er, who was unable to dodge. The faces of Yin Lingxian and the others were also very strange. It was reasonable to say that Ji Yun'er was more powerful than Bailey Hongzhuang, but right now, the situation had been completely reversed. Bailey Hongzhuang's one simple sentence was full of such force. Ji Yun'er turned dumb, which was strange. Lu Huayin and Fu Hongbo looked at each other, the emotions of their faces difficult to cover up. The aura of Bailey Hongzhuang is really something. It can completely suppress that Miss Ji. Fu Hongbo's face was full of doubts. Who is Bailey Hongzhuang? Even the daughter of General will definitely never be able to have such an imposing aura. Lu Huayin shook his head. He only felt that Bailey Hongzhuang was not simple. I will give you 3 seconds. Hand over the demonic core, or the consequences after that will be yours to shoulder, Bailey Hongzhuang said, and everyone was able to feel the weight in her words. She didn't want to waste any more time on things other than the ancient monument. Since Ji Yun'er likes to find trouble, she did not mind disciplining her. Ji Yun'er's entire person had turned dumb. She did not understand how Bailey Hongzhuang was able to pressure her so much, making it very difficult for her to even speak. Di Bei Chen's mouth was arched in an evil smirk, his deep black eyes shining with a little bit of appreciation. It seems that his fears were redundant. His wife had never been easy to bully. Such an imposing aura was enough to shock many people. 3. Bailey Hongzhuang held up 3 fingers, her expression icy. 2. Putting away 1 finger. The look on Bailey Hongzhuang's face was still indifferent, as if it was just a simple countdown. However, everyone present at the scene felt extremely uneasy. Xia Zhiqing deeply admired Bailey Hongzhuang at this moment. Previously, that Ji Yun'er had been so arrogant, but now she had been completely suppressed by Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 502 Ask You, Keep Dreaming? Such a Hongzhuang is really imposing. It was difficult for Xia Zhiqing to cover up her excited expression. For Ji Yun'er's behavior, she had long been dissatisfied. Now that she saw Hongzhuang being so domineering, she felt great in her heart. What happened to that Ji Yun'er? Why is she standing there without saying a word? Bai Junyi did not understand why Ji Yun'er looked so speechless at the moment. You are not Ji Yun'er. How can you understand her feelings right now? Gong Shaoqing's voice was very deep. Bailey Hongzhuang's momentum is very strong, and she has completely affected Ji Yun'er, so the pressure on Ji Yun'er is huge. At the moment, Gong Shaoqing was also awed by Bailey Hongzhuang. Previously, He had felt that it was suspicious for Bailey Hongzhuang to have such great medical qualifications. Now it seems that the background of Bailey Hongzhuang was not as simple as he thought. How can Bailey Hongzhuang's momentum be so strong? Yan Lingxian had previously only thought Bailey Hongzhuang to be a beauty. Now he changed his opinion of her. Such a terrible momentum. Even he wouldn't be able to anything at all. In his impression, only the head of the family will have such a pressing momentum. Even if they say nothing one, people would feel a great pressure. There were few young people who had this kind of momentum. There were even fewer people among their generation with it. It was too abnormal for Bailey Hongzhuang to have it. Huang Fuhui, Lin Yirou, and Han Xiling were all silent at the moment. If they said that they would never meet Bailey Hongzhuang head-on, they had to admit it at this moment. 2-1. After Bailey Hongzhuang said the last word, her momentum disappeared and Ji Yuner was relieved. If she hadn't kept warning herself that she couldn't agree, she would have already agreed under that pressure. When she thought about that possibility, she felt terrible. That was undoubtedly showing weakness to Bailey Hongzhuang in front of everyone. That is something she can't accept. Even if I don't give the demonic core to you, what can you do about it? Ji Yuner said strongly at this moment. She would not show any weakness to Bailey Hongzhuang. She understood it extremely clearly. You are not very bright. Bailey Hongzhuang's red lips slowly curved in an enchanting smile, like a blooming devil's snare 3. It evoked a deadly beauty, but it gave people an indescribable feeling of surprise. If you won't give it to me now, be careful. You don't ask for something from me. 4. Her voice falling, Bailey Hongzhuang was too lazy to even pay attention to Ji Yuner and went straight back to her team. However, although no one had seen it, Bailey Hongzhuang had already sprayed a powder onto the body of Ji Yuner. As a qualified physician, her means of poisoning were also very good. She could often sprinkle poison onto others without them noticing it. Everyone was stunned by Bailey Hongzhuang's words. In their hearts, they sighed slightly. Wasn't Bailey Hongzhuang just scaring Ji Yuner? 5. I will ask you for something? You keep dreaming. Ji Yuner sneered. This Ji Yuner is really overdue. Looking at her face. I want to smash her until she turns into a pig. Xiao He waved his fists in anger. There were so many white flowers, 6. They were particularly numerous this year. You don't worry, Master will not let that Ji Yuner off easy. Xiao Bai said somewhat proudly. He had been with Master for so long. He was also very understanding of their Master's character. Chapter 503 Hurt. Ji Yuner Baisher's sleek black eyes sparkled with curiosity and intelligence. Their master was not a simple character. Her means were getting stranger and more numerous. Whether it was Bailey Yu Yin or Li Yu Yu, they had all suffered at the hands of their master. They believed that this time, Ji Yuner would surely suffer. Their master had always been very decisive. As long as it was something that she needs, she would definitely get it. There was no worry for that at all. Bailey Hongzhuang looked indifferently at the ward on the periphery of the ancient monument. The light of the ward was becoming fainter as time passed. She believed that in some time, the ward would disappear completely. Wifey, what did you do to Ji Yuner? Di Bei Chen's long brows slanted, as he looked at Bailey Hongzhuang with a smile. He was very clear about his wife's personality. Since she was so calm, he was afraid that next there would definitely be a show worth watching. As for being the one to draw the shorter end of the stick, she had never been content with it. Bailey Hongzhuang's smile held a deep meaning. Deliberately being mysterious, she said. You wait and see. Ji Yuner deliberately put the demonic core of the Qing Tianmo alligator into her own yin-yang pouch, mocking, thinking she is someone great, but being able to do nothing more than talk big. Yan Lingxian and the others stared between Ji Yuner and Bailey Hongzhuang. They always felt that things were not so simple, but where the problem was they could not think of it. I keep feeling like that Bailey Hongzhuang had done something. Yan Lingxian frowned. However, the scene before had happened in front of all of them, and nothing looked out of place at all. What could she have done? Ji Yuner sneered. There are so many people present. Didn't she just spout some meaningless words? It was just a bluff. Just now, under Bailey Hong Zhuang's pressing momentum, she was pressured until she became dub, but now she was acting proud again. They did not understand how her brain worked. However, just as Ji Yuner finished with her words of mockery, her face became strange. Not because of others, but because she suddenly felt a sting on her body. How could this be? Ji Yuner was puzzled. This sting seemed to come from within her body and was piercingly painful. Ah! Ji Yuner could not help but call out. The pain became more and more intense as time went by, and it gradually exceeded her level of tolerance. Ah, it hurts! Everyone saw that Ji Yuner's face was twisted up in pain, and their expressions became strange. Miss, what's wrong with you? After seeing this scene, the practitioners of the Ji family couldn't help but ask. It hurts! It hurts! Ji Yuner shouted, and her tone was more and more anxious. How can it start to hurt without a rhyme or reason? The practitioners of the Ji family were stunned, and their eyes could not help but look towards Bailey Hong Zhuang. Previously, that Bailey Hong Zhuang had told their miss not to come asking for her. Bailey Hong Zhuang's was still looking indifferently at the ancient monument, and her eyes never stopped on Ji Yuner for even a second, as if everything that was happening had nothing to do with her. Damn, how can it hurt so much? I can't stand it. Ji Yuner's face was pinched in pain, and she felt pain in her every pore, such that she didn't even have a chance to breathe. The Ji family members were looking at Ji Yuner, and then Ji Yuner fell onto the ground. Chapter 504 deserves it. Feeling the constant waves of pain, Ji Yuner felt them to be intolerable, and as the pain became more and more intense, even her internal organs seemed to be hurting. Even though she had experienced a lot of pain in the process of cultivation, it was all nothing compared to the pain she felt at the moment. Ji Yuner could not bear it as she rolled on the ground. Her luxurious silk dress had become contaminated and muddy, her hair messy and unkempt. If it had been any other time, Ji Yuner could naturally not stand such an image of themselves. But at this moment she had forgotten everything, only hoping that this pain would reduce by even a few times. Lin Yi and the others first felt strange about Ji Yuner's reaction, but soon after seeing the pale and sweaty appearance of Ji Yuner, they understood that this must be related to Bailey Hong Zhuang. Today Ji Yuner really looks like a monkey being played. Lin Yi's eyes were full of disdain. From the beginning to the end, Ji Yuner had been troubling Bailey Hong Zhuang deliberately. The final result was that she had been utterly humiliated by Bailey Hong Zhuang. Speaking of that, the current Ji Yuner looked really pitiful. Yanling Xian felt the same as he nodded. This time, Ji Yuner really has been played. This Bailey Hong Zhuang, although she is not strong enough, the methods she has are very strange. People can't ignore her. Huang Fu, we could no longer think of Bailey Hong Zhuang as an ordinary person without a background, because her direct method left even him feeling a bit chilly. Sure enough, any woman that Bewitching liked was definitely not an ordinary person. If they underestimated Bailey Hong Zhuang, they were only asking for trouble. For example, look at Ji Yuner's current state. Han Shiling's slender brows were twisted. From their point of view, Ji Yuner's current state had definitely been caused by Bailey Hong Zhuang. However, just now, she never found any movement on Bailey Hong Zhuang's part. So how had she been able to make Ji Yuner suffer? At the thought of this, Han Shiling became a little more vigilant. This was the first time she had felt threatened by Bailey Hong Zhuang. Bailey Hong Zhuang, what did you do to me? Ji Yuner endured the pain as she questioned Bailey Hong Zhuang. Bailey Hong Zhuang's brows lifted slightly, looking indifferent as she quietly said, Miss Ji, you cannot blame me like this. There were so many watchful eyes, but I did not do anything. I do not believe it. You must have done something. Ji Yuner's eyes were hazy, her pretty face twisted in anger and pain. You let me get better soon, or I will not let you go. Despite her words, Bailey Hong Zhuang was as placid as the clouds, as if everything Ji Yuner said had nothing to do with her. Miss Ji's words are really interesting, as if you weren't hurting now, you would let me go. Hearing these words, everyone was stunned. Many people laughed, unable to contain it. What Bailey Hongzhuang had said was true. Even if she relieved Ji Yun'er's pain, Ji Yun'er would still not let her go. In that case, why should she help Ji Yun'er? Die, you horrid woman, Xiao He said coldly. This kind of person needed to be taught a lesson. If they weren't disciplined, their nose would always be towards the sky. It really isn't worth it even to kill her. Xiao Bai's face was full of disdain. Previously, that Ji Yun'er's arrogance had been out of limit, but it amounted to nothing now. Bai Shi, that demonic core should fall into your hands after a while, Xiao He said as he looked at Bai Shi. Chapter 505 means. Bailey Hongzhuang hearing those words, a touch of excitement appeared in Bai Shi's eyes. As long as he got the demonic core of the Qing Tianmo alligator, he would surely have a breakthrough. Thinking of this, Bai Shi couldn't help his happiness. Once he had a breakthrough, he could help his master fight. Looking at Ji Yun'er's expression, she must be in extreme pain. Xia Zhiqing looked at Ji Yun'er, who was rolling on the ground. Even with her strength, she could hardly even speak under the effects of such agony. Bai Junyu nodded. It must be very painful. Otherwise she wouldn't have become like this. The next moment, a flower like a smile graced Xia Zhiqing's mouth. Haha, watching her hurt so much. I feel particularly happy. Bai Junyu thought that Xia Zhiqing's reactions were completely beyond his expectations, but in fact, he too felt that Ji Yun'er deserved such pain. Hongzhuang is really awesome. She even taught such an annoying person a good lesson. Xia Zhiqing's eyes were bright as she smiled. She did not have the ability like Hongzhuang's, but looking at things now, she felt very happy. This Ji Yun'er's background is not weak, and Bailey Hongzhuang has offended her like this. I am afraid that in the future, she will be strongly retaliated against by the Ji family in the future. Unlike Xia Zhiqing, Lu Huaiyan was full of fear. This Ji family had only come to the ancient monument for an experience. They did not bring a lot of people, so others may not feel much. But he knew how terrible the ability of the Ji family was. As long as the Ji family wanted to retaliate against Bailey Hongzhuang would surely fall into endless trouble. You can't blame Bailey Hongzhuang for this. Just with the presence of Di Beichun, that Ji Yun'er can't do anything to Bailey Hongzhuang. It looks like this grudge is impossible to let go of. His low voice a bit helpless as Fu Hongbo shook his head. Now the situation had been set in stone. No matter what Bailey Hongzhuang did, this hatred would continue. Now that the result had been destined, Bailey Hongzhuang naturally had no need for being more reserved. It was better to teach Ji Yun'er a lot of lessons, to make up for all that she had lost. I did not expect that Bailey Hongzhuang would have such an amazing method despite being such a famed doctor. This is incomparable to normal people. Her pretty face was filled with emotion as even Zhang Yunfeng looked impressed with Bailey Hongzhuang at the moment. Although the status of a doctor could not surpass that of a refining pharmacist in the Shengxian continent, offending a doctor wasn't a wise choice either. Bailey Hongzhuang, did you poison me? Ji Yun'er's eyes widened, her face pale, the veins on her temple bulging as she asked unwillingly. At the same time, the cultivators of the Ji family all glared at Bailey Hongzhuang. Miss Bailey, if you don't hand over the antidote now, then don't blame us for being impolite. One cultivator sighed. Bailey Hongzhuang's expression was still light. This is really interesting. I didn't expect such a big family to pour dirty water onto other people's bodies. There's so many people present here. Did you see me poison her? It's wrong for you to do things as you like. It's too unfair. Give her to me? Ji Yun'er sighed in anger. The hatred in her heart for Bailey Hongzhuang had reached an extreme. As long as Bailey Hongzhuang fell into their hands, she would make sure she never had a better day again. With Ji Yun'er's words, the cultivators of the Ji family all raised their weapons and aligned them towards Bailey Hongzhuang. Chapter 506. You will be unable to live. Who dares? When the Ji family cultivators were preparing to attack Bailey Hongzhuang, Di Bei Chen's voice rang. His overbearing tone was full of anger and murderousness, his handsome and unparalleled face covered with frost, and his deep eyes were as sharp as an arrow, directly shooting the cultivator of the Ji family. Seeing Di Bei Chen's appearance, the faces of the Ji family cultivators changed instantly. They were well aware of the status of Di Bei Chen, who would most likely become the next sovereign of Tiangangzong in the future. If just because of Bailey Hongzhuang, they were to anger such a promising successor like Di Bei Chen, it was undoubtedly very unprofitable to them. Moreover, they themselves knew for a fact that from beginning to end, it had been their young miss who was provoking others. If Ji Yuner had not been looking for trouble with Bailey Hongzhuang would not have treated her like this. But now Bailey Hongzhuang had put Ji Yuner in a situation where even they could not help. Seeing Di Bei Chen's protective attitude toward Bailey Hongzhuang, Ji Yuner's face became ugly. Di Bei Chen, I have known you for so many years, but now that Bailey Hongzhuang has hurt me, you will protect her? Ji Yuner's face was full of rage and paranoia. She did not believe that Di Bei Chen would rather offend the Ji family to protect Bailey Hongzhuang. Unknowingly, Han Xiling had walked over to Di Bei Chen's side. Her beautiful, lotus-like face was a little worried. Di Dage, you should be clear about the identity of Ji Yuner. Isn't this a bit too impulsive? Seeing Han Xiling say that to Di Bei Chen, the expressions of Xia Zhiqing and the others all changed. Di Bei Chen wouldn't give up on Bailey Hongzhuang, right? Although they were not the children or disciples of a big family, they were still very clear on how they had only their own interests in mind. If Di Bei Chen dares to give up on Bailey Hongzhuang, I will not let him go. Dong Fangyu quietly clenched his fists. In front of so many cultivators with high status, he had still been acting mild, but as long as he was there, he would never let them hurt Bailey Hongzhuang. Lu Qinyu looked at Dong Fangyu, an unspeakable feeling rising in her heart. Her line of sight could not help but fall on Bailey Hongzhuang in front of them. All the conflicts that were occurring now were caused by Bailey Hongzhuang, but Bailey Hongzhuang herself acted like nothing happened, indifferent. I have a sense of proportion, Di Bei Chen said with a faint voice and then raising his voice. Hongzhuang is my wife. If you want to deal with her, you must cross through me. Di Bei Chen stood in front of Bailey Hongzhuang. He had already shown his attitude with his actions. Han Xiling's face changed slightly. She had not expected that despite her advice, Di Bei Chen's heart would be unmoved. It had only been a short period of 3 years. Didn't she have any weight in Di Bei Chen's heart? You! Ji Yuner's anger was unstoppable, her fierce and vicious eyes directed at Bailey Hongzhuang. If eyes could kill, I'm afraid Bailey Hongzhuang would have died many times over already. If you dare to do anything to me, you won't live. Bailey Hongzhuang whispered faintly. Her voice was still indifferent, as if everything had nothing to do with her. However, when she heard it, Ji Yuner's expression only turned fiercer. Bailey Hongzhuang, you still won't admit that you poisoned me. There is nothing I have to say. Why do you keep saying I poisoned you? Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged, her expression innocent, but it just looked abhorrent in the eyes of Ji Yuner. Chapter 5:07 You are a doctor. If you didn't poison me, why did you say that I should not ask you for anything later? Ji Yuner gnashed her teeth, her eyes full of flames. Had it been under normal circumstances, such an expression would have been extremely powerful. However, under the effects of the severe pain, she could not even say a word properly. As for the force in her words, it was almost non-existent. The cold sweat had soaked through her clothes. She felt as if she was barely alive. I am a doctor. Do you want me to see what is wrong with your current situation? Bailey Hongzhuang looked calm, not revealing the slightest bit of panic. Her serious appearance made people unable to find the slightest trace of it being a disguise. You're a doctor? Ji Yuner sneered. Do you think the people present here are all fools? Hongzhuang is a doctor. She is a godly doctor with superb skills. Xia Zhiqing said. Not only Xia Zhiqing, even Lu Huaiyin and the others nodded. they had personally seen the medical skills of Bailey Hongzong. It was very good and could not be compared to ordinary doctors. Originally, everyone did not put Bailey Hongzhuang's words in their heart. However, at this moment, after seeing that even the teachers of the Tsanglan College were nodding in approval, their hearts could not help but wonder. So, was it true that Bailey Hongzhuang really is a doctor? You say that you are a doctor? Are you sure? Ji Yuner sneered. You are all in a group. It is only natural that you will help Bailey Hongzhuang. Miss Ji, what you are saying, it's not right. Lu Huiyan stepped forward, and his elderly face was a bit serious. I'm a teacher of the Tsanglan College. Why would I lie about this kind of thing? We could get into this miasma forest because of the detoxification dam made by Bailey Hongzhuang. Xia Ziqing followed. With Xia Ziqing's words, Lin Yirou and other cultivators' expressions all changed. They were well aware of how toxic the miasma is. If not for their families, they would not have succeeded in entering the miasma forest. It was also for this reason that there weren't many people from each of their forces. Otherwise, it was possible that there would have been much more cultivators. After all, no one could argue it was too much. Since Bailey Hongzhuang could develop a detoxification dam that could counter this miasma, it could be seen that the skills that she possessed were far beyond average. I had been wondering how they successfully entered this miasma forest. It turns out that Bailey Hongzhuang made a detoxification dam. Huang Fuhui said is feeling complex. While as a cultivator, the background of their families was very important, many alchemists and doctors relied entirely on their own ability. The development of the detoxification dam by Bailey Hongzhuang proved that her medical skills were not simple. Once this news spread, it would be enough for many families to offer an olive branch to Bailey Hongzhuang. I can understand why Di Bei-chun likes Bailey Hongzhuang. It is because she is a doctor with excellent medical skills. Yin Lingxian said, with such a layer of identity, Bailey Hongzhuang's value was very different. 1. You have been poisoned for a long time, but the other party has made this toxin such that the toxins will take some time to attack, and this will hide all relations that they have with it. Bailey Hongzhuang's tone was light and easy, her posture lazy and uncaring. Not at all tense despite the fact that the other side had their swords pointed towards her. Nonsense, that is impossible. Bailey Hongzhuang shrugged. Whether you believe or not, it is your own business, but later it will get more and more painful for you, and you will start bleeding until you die. Bailey Hongzhuang gestured lazily, a bit of ridicule in her words, not the least bit worried for Ji Yuner. Master, what are you going to do? Xiaohe asked doubtfully. Others may not know it, but they understood their own master. This kind of a strange poison could only have been developed by her. Fool her? Bailey Hongzhuang raised a delicate brow, light flashing through her beautiful eyes, sly as a fox. Why should you fool her? Xiaohe had some doubts. Now that Ji Yuner's life was in their hands, there was no need to play around anymore. Bailey Hongzhuang blinked, her eyes full of wisdom. I want her to accept giving me the demonic core of the Qing Tianmo alligator, and give it to me with gratitude. With her current strength, she could simply not compete with the Ji family. They previously had a conflict, so she can't let Ji Yuner die. What's more, with Ji Yuner's attitude, she JY would try her best to kill her BHC after she went back. Therefore, she must come up with a way to make the Ji family unable to do anything to her later. Sure enough, listening to the confident and determined judgment of Bailey Hongzhuang, even Ji Yuner's heart was swayed in confusion. In the Ji family, there were quite a few other competitive children who had strength similar to her. There were many people who would fight her for her position. She was no stranger to poison, and it was not impossible for someone to use it on her. For some time, Ji Yuner's mind was overwhelmed, and she could no longer determine what to do. Doubtful thoughts flashed through the minds of Lin Yirou and the others. Bailey Hongzhuang's conviction in her words had even made them doubt the truth of the matter. Bailey Hongzhuang, you have to detoxify me. Ji Yuner was unable to think of other things at the moment. The pain in her body almost causing her to collapse. She had fallen into a state of weakness. If it went on like this, she would lose consciousness. Why should I detoxify you? Bailey Hong Zhuang crossed her hands over her chest, her posture proud as she looked at Ji Yuner. She and Ji Yuner had no good feelings, on the contrary. They had had so many conflicts. Why would she ever help Ji Yuner? Hearing Bailey Hong Zhuang's words, Ji Yuner felt herself going crazy. This woman was really abominable. Di Bei Chen's eyes showed his appreciation and amusement. His wifey was really smart. The originally difficult situation had been completely changed with his wifey's words. Now Ji Yuner was even asking for her help. With just a few simple words, the situation had been completely reversed, and Bailey Hong Zhuang may now even become the benefactor of Ji Yuner. Miss Bailey, we will have to trouble you to help our young miss in detoxification, the leader of the Ji family cultivators said. Although he was not a doctor, he could see that Ji Yuner's situation was very bad. It was very likely that Bailey Hong Zhuang's words were true, and if they continued this way, Ji Yuner would suffer. I will save her, even after she tried to kill me? Bailey Hong Zhuang sneered. I will never suffer a loss trading. 1. Listening to Bailey Hong Zhuang's words, the faces of the Ji family cultivators became somewhat ugly. The contradiction between Bailey Hong Zhuang and Ji Yuner had developed to a point where any semblance of peace was impossible. At this moment, they even appeared too demanding as they asked for help. After hearing Bailey Hong Zhuang's words, Ji Yuner almost fainted. She couldn't help but think of the time that she had forcefully laid claim on the demonic core of Qing Tian Mo alligator, that Bailey Hong Zhuang. She hadn't expected things to come to this point. Could she lose even more face? Would she completely lose all of her respect today? Miss Bailey, the demonic core of the Qing Tian Mo alligator, we will hand it over to you. How about it? The Ji family cultivator asked tentatively. That demonic core was mine, but it was robbed by you. Bailey Hong Zhuang was indifferent, her stance on the matter unmoved. The meaning of her words was quite clear. A profiteer. The master is definitely the profiteer. Xiao He said. He felt amazed that his master could still fool the Ji family like this. Firstly, she poisoned the other party, and then let the other party ask her for help, and then she made them thank her for saving their lives. Their master was really good at such calculations. Sure enough, she is our master. I feel really convinced. Xiao Bai was excited. Seeing the shrill screaming of Ji Yuner and the spurt of blood, he really felt very happy. Bailey Hong Zhuang, you are clearly trying to con us. Do you think our Ji family will give in to you? Ji Yuner was depressed to the extreme. She regretted everything. If she had known the first time that she would face such a situation, she would have never taken the initiative to provoke Bailey Hong Zhuang. Absolutely not. Just that now was too late. Bailey Hong Zhuang shrugged. I didn't say I wanted to take advantage of you. The reward I need for my work is extremely high. You don't want to give it, I don't want it. Her voice fell, and Bailey Hong Zhuang was too lazy to even look at Ji Yuner, who was still on the ground, anymore. You're such an annoying person. Even if I save you now, sooner or later in the future there will be people who will want to kill you. Saving you is a sheer waste of my strength. Such pretense. 1. You are still continuing to pretend. Ji Yuner screamed wildly in her heart, but she could say nothing with her mouth. Now, Bailey Hong Zhuang had completely eaten her. 2. The cultivators of the Ji family were speechless at this moment, and Ji Yuner was really helpless. Originally, they would have paid Bailey Hong Zhuang the price required. But now, because of Ji Yuner, the price would be even higher. Miss Bailey, I have some valuable medicine here. I don't know if this will be enough to save our miss. Bailey Hong Zhuang was indifferent and proud. I will not take the attitude of your Mississippi. Miss Bailey, I have some money here. You can go buy something you want. Bailey Hong Zhuang glanced at the golden card, still unmoved. Miss Bailey, I have some demonic crystals and medicinal herbs there. The cultivators of the Ji family constantly superimpose their rewards, and each reward caused great shock to appear in the eyes of Xia Ji Qing and the others. I'll go. So many treasures. but Hong Zhuang is still so indifferent. Xia Zhiqing's eyes were full of emotion. In the blink of an eye, Bailey Hong Zhuang had made a lot of money. Dong Fengyu's eyes were full of smile. Hong Zhuang is waiting for Ji Yuner to bow. Chapter 510, I beg you to save me. In the face of Bailey Hong Zhuang's indifference, the faces of the Ji family's cultivators became difficult to look at. They had already paid a lot of money. At this moment, Bailey Hong Zhuang suddenly made a noise. Even if I promise to help, I have to see if your Miss Ji is willing or not. Ji Yuner looked at Bailey Hong Zhuang with resentment. This was the first time she had felt such hatred. This woman was really abominable. Mississippi. The Ji family's leader looked helplessly at Ji Yuner, indicating that Ji Yuner says something. Ji Yuner turned her head reluctantly. If she bowed her head today, she would not be qualified to look at the others properly. Upon seeing this, Bailey Hong Zhuang pushed away all of the things given to her by the Ji family cultivators, a faint smile on her lips. To help the dying and healing the injured is also predestined. I didn't want to do anything too much, but since Miss Ji's attitude is like this, I will not treat her. Next, Bailey Hong Zhuang closed her eyes and adjusted her body, just waiting for the ward to disappear. The poison that she herself configured, she understood well. If it had not been for her current strength not being enough, she would never have used it on Ji Yuner. In that instant, the atmosphere turned stagnant. Ji Yuner had not expected that Bailey Hong Zhuang would be so adamant and give everything back so easily. Isn't it said that the children of these families are very smart? Why do I feel that this Ji Yuner is exceptionally stupid? Xia Zhiqing frowned. She really couldn't understand Ji Yuner, who deliberately looked for trouble. Miss. The face of the cultivator, who was heading the Ji family's people, had become extremely embarrassed. He had always known the temper of his own lady, but this was not the time to lose it. Since the other had demanded this, shouldn't she be more thoughtful? Even 10 years were not late for a gentleman's revenge. Couldn't Ji Yuner even comprehend that? Thinking of this, the man's eyes could not help but fill with disappointment. Ji Yuner had such an IQ, it would not be easy to achieve a firm status in the Ji family in the future. Ji Yuner's face was pale. She was completely smothered in anger. She had lived arrogantly for so many years. When had she ever had to plead someone? Suddenly, Ji Yuner felt that there was something warm flowing from the tip of her nose. She reached out and saw that black blood was flowing out from her nose. It was like Bailey Hong Zhuang said. This was a sign of poisoning. Ah! Ji Yuner screamed, but when she thought of dying such a bloody death, she was even more afraid. The pain was getting worse, and more blood flowed out of her nose. I don't want to die. Ji Yuner's voice was overwhelmed. I don't want to die. Her status was so honorable, and her days were extremely comfortable. How could she die like this? Ji Yuner lifted her eyes, her gaze falling on a Bailey Hong Zhuang. She immediately shouted to Bailey Hong Zhuang, I don't want to die. However, in response to Ji Yuner, Bailey Hong Zhuang was still indifferent. Even her brows did not move, as if she hadn't heard anything. Ji Yuner was really scared at this moment. She knew that Bailey Hong Zhuang was the only hope she had to survive. She immediately crawled towards Bailey Hong Zhuang. She grabbed on a Bailey Hong Zhuang's clothes and shouted, Save me! Save me! Save me! I beg you to save me! Even now, Bailey Hong Zhuang was indifferent. Chapter 511, promising a favor. Seeing this scene, a complicated expression appeared in the eyes of Yin Lingxian and the others. The matters had grown to the present scene. It was all because of Ji Yuner. It was her who ruined her own situation. As long as Ji Yuner accepted, this matter would be resolved. If Ji Yuner had not made unnecessary provocations in the first place, she would have never been in this situation. However, the sudden change of Bailey Hong Zhuang from the previously weak to the current strong stance made a chill run down their spines. This Bailey Hong Zhuang is not a simple person. It is better if we don't fight her or offend her. Lin Yirou's eyes sparkled with foresight. So far, although they didn't know whether the poison was really given by Bailey Hong Zhuang or another person, however, the means of Bailey Hong Zhuang made it absolutely impossible to doubt her. Huang Fuhui also had the same feeling and nodded. She is very intelligent. Among all of us, she may be the weakest, but she still stands out the most. It is not strange that Ji Yuner has been defeated by her. Ina Ling Xian shrunk his neck. Fortunately, there was the experimental shield Ji Yuner. Otherwise, if he would have offended Bailey Hong Zhuang at this moment, he was afraid that his condition would not be much better than Ji Yuner's. Even without her relationship with Di Beichun, Bailey Hong Zhuang was still a calm and terrible person. That was before. Now I am not going to help. Bailey Hong Zhuang's voice and face were cold. Her deep phoenix-like eyes filled with ice and determination, taking away the slightest hope from people. Ji Yuner only felt that the strength of her entire body was getting weaker and weaker, and the feeling of despair shrouded her. Previously, she only believed in her own family and did not believe she was going to die. However, now she no longer had any doubts. I beg you, I will never go against you again. Please save me. Ji Yuner cried. Ji Jia's head cultivator 1 also requested. Miss Bailey, I want you to treat Our Lady's poisoning. This kindness we will keep in our minds when you need it in the future. We will not refuse to help you. His words made the faces of the people change again. Kindness from Ji Jia. It was a terrific thing. Compared to all the treasures that they had offered before, Ji Jia's favor was the most precious. Lu Huaiyin and Fu Hongbo's face was full of incredulity. The situation had changed really too fast, making it hard to accept. To Bailey Hong Zhuang's means, I really applaud. Lu Huaiyin smiled with a sigh of relief, thinking how he and Fu Hongbo had been so easily seen through by Bailey Hong Zhuang when they first met. Bailey Hong Zhuang at that time was already unfathomable. Di Gongzi, you have been acquaintances with our miss for many years. Di Beichun pondered for a moment, and then walked to the side of Bailey Hong Zhuang, at an angle which could not be seen by everyone too. Since Bailey Hong Zhuang's purpose had been reached, they must make sure Ji Yuner didn't actually die. Nyangzi, I have known the girl for a long time. Will you help her get rid of the poison? Hearing these words, Bailey Hong Zhuang looked deeply into Di Beichun's eyes, but there was a trace of hesitation in her brows. She nodded. Then all right. Ji Yuner's eyes flashed with excitement. The cultivators of Ji Jia also breathed a sigh of relief. Finally, they would not lose their lives. Thank you, thank you. Ji Yuner had no temper at the moment and actually began to thank him. List of chapters 1. Not the head of the entire family, just this group of cultivators from Ji Jia. 2. The Ross says, which could not be seen by everyone. Chapter 512 Master is too black-bellied, too domineering. Xiaohe excitedly raised his thumb. Their master's ability to reverse black and white was really powerful. Ji Yuner being so grateful to Di Beichun is exactly what their master had wanted to achieve. In this way, the Ji Jia cultivators would have to thank their master, and Ji Yuner would have to stop bothering them. Their master could really make great use of people without them even knowing, through her means. Master is too black-bellied. Xiaobai said a bit emotionally. This time they had really made a big profit. Di Beichun's eyes were full of smiles. His own woman was really a clever little fox. She would not let others take advantage of her, and was always the profiteer, making her even cuter in his eyes. In this case, I will help you get rid of the poison. Bailey Hong Zhuang's voice was cold. It looked like if Di Beichun had not stepped in, she would not have helped Ji Yuner get rid of the poison. Therefore, Ji Yuner and the others were more and more grateful to Di Beichun. Bailey Hong Zhuang directly took out a silver needle, and with great skill, quickly and accurately inserted it into an acupoint of Ji Yuner. Seeing this scene, in exception to the people of the Tsanglan College and Di Beichun, doubts emerged on the faces of other people. They had never seen such a strange healing method before. However, after Han Shiling saw what Bailey Hongzhuang was doing, the glimmer of light in her eyes dimmed, and her originally aloof appearance changed a bit. How is it possible? Han Shiling said, "What is this treatment? I have never seen it before." Yin Ling Zhen was greatly puzzled. In all his years, he had never seen a doctor use such a method for detoxification. Lin Yiro also, though hard as she frowned, her eyes locked tight on a Bailey Hongzhuang's movements. Why do I feel that this method is very familiar? I also have the same feeling. Huang Fuhui agreed with a nod. He must have heard of it, but he could not remember it at the moment. Suddenly, Lin Yiro and Huang Fuhui looked at each other. They both looked like they had seen a ghost. Yin Ling Sun noticed the change in the two people and could not help but question. Why do you have such an expression? Do you already know what Bailey Hongzhuang is doing? The lost art of acupuncture. Lin Yiro sighed softly. The art of acupuncture? Yin Ling Xian's tone was forceful. How could he not know that the powerful art of healing with acupuncture had been long lost? However, this method had long since disappeared. He didn't know how many long years the doctors lamented the loss of this technique. If it was not for Lin Yiro, he would not have connected Bailey Hongzhuang with the long-lost acupuncture. The art of acupuncture? The faces of the four cultivator families and those of Tiangang Zone all changed. When they looked at Bailey Hongzhuang again, their eyes were full of horror. Through careful examination, they found that the technique used by Bailey Hongzhuang and the art of acupuncture looked really similar. Hasn't the art of acupuncture been used for many years? How could it appear again? Yeah, even if it appears, it's not possible for it to appear in the hands of a young, little girl. Maybe it's true. This girl's medicine is very good. If not, how could she have developed a detoxification dam to deal with the miasma? The cultivators of Jijia were all filled with fascination. They were worried that Bailey Hongzhuang would not be able to cure their young miss. But now it seems that there would be no problem. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.